I've already
Assalamu
introduced you.
alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for joining us tonight. If you would please continue, we're all waiting to hear what you have to say. So please continue.
My pleasure. جزاك الله خير. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thank you all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for facilitating and making this opportunities available for us to talk to our community in the area of Hawthorne. Dear brothers and sisters, I hope and pray that Allah protect you all from all kind of evil, and including this coronavirus and all kind of worries, that Allah clear our mind and our hearts, and all kind of concern in this dunya, and inshallah, great hope in the akhirah. Dear brothers and sisters, it was a tradition and it is a tradition of the believers that 6 months before Ramadan they pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan wa a'inna fihi ala as-siyam wal qiyam wa qira'at al-Quran. And after that, Ramadan finished, 6 months after that, they do pray that, Ya Allah, accept our prayers in Ramadan and what we have done. Ramadan this year comes to challenge us with all this new development in our life and how we are going to face it. I want to touch on this subject for the next few minutes in two aspects, physical and spiritual. How we are physically challenged with Ramadan and how we are spiritually, inshallah, will be rich in this opportunity of Ramadan. This is a Ramadan that we will remember for the rest of our life, and definitely kids from maybe 4 or 5 years old until the end of their life, they will remember that I lived in the Ramadan of the 2020 when the coronavirus was spread, and we prayed with my mom or my dad or whatever that community that he is living in and spending this Ramadan with. First and foremost, dear brothers and sisters, Ramadan is a physical presence of a month, the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. الشهر التاسع من الشهور العربية أو الإسلامية, the lunar system. So it is indeed a specific physical time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about, as he mentioned in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So Ramadan has been determined to be the month of fasting was determined to be the month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. Let's use it this way. And how Ramadan comes and how we know. Rasul told us that we have to observe the hilal of Ramadan, the crescent of Ramadan. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, hadith Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, صوموا لرؤيته وأفطروا لرؤيته فإن غم عليكم فأكملوا عدة شعبان 30 يوما رواه البخاري ومسلم. That's fast for the seeing of the crescent of the month of Ramadan, and break that fasting for seeing the crescent of the month of Sha'ban. If there is no way to see it, then complete Sha'ban as 30 days and start Ramadan. And at the same time, if you cannot see the Shawwal crescent, then complete the fasting 30 days and go on from there. And in one time, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu, he told Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam أنه رأى هلال شهر رمضان فأخبر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم، أي عبد الله بن عمر أخبر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قد رأى هلال شهر رمضان فصام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأمر الناس بصيامه. هذا الحديث رواه أبو داود والحاكم وابن حبان وصححوه. إذن تبدأ عملية الصيام. الصيام start from the seeing of the crescent of the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. Then I hope and pray now we pass that challenge time. And I hope this year people will be much more calm in determining the entrance of Ramadan and the end of Ramadan, and celebrate as much as we can together, inshallah. And there are more details, of course, about that. I don't want to spend more time. But dear brothers and sisters, the fasting of the month of Ramadan, physical things, because it is abstaining from what otherwise is allowed in a normal situation. Eating, drinking, sleeping with your wife, and chewing gum maybe, or some people, I don't promote, of course, smoking will be even though it's prohibited, but some people will do it. So all those will be considered مفطرات. So الصوم هو الإمساك عن المفطرات، كما هو بداية الإمساك عن الكلام مع الناس. إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا، كما قال سيدنا زكريا وسيدة مريم رضي الله عليهم الصلاة والسلام في سورة مريم. لكنه يستعمل أيضا لموضوع ما نحن فيه، وهو الإمساك عن الطعام والشراب وبقية المفطرات لوجه الله تعالى. والصيام فيه ركنان، ركن أول هو الإمساك عن المفطرات، والركن الثاني النية، أن ينوي الإنسان هذا الفعل لله تعالى تقربة وعبادة. ولذلك لابد therefore we have to always keep in mind that our action in the month of Ramadan is a form of ibadah, even though it is not necessarily, let's say, mentioned as part of the siyam, such as talking too much, sleeping too much, eating too much when it's like breaking the fasting. Now you say, oh, those are halal in normal situation. In the month of Ramadan, especially now, you have to be aware of that. Let alone talking ghiba or talking bad, or just wasting the time listening to something other than the Quran, or some good discussion or talk or lecture. And all of the other activities that really does not bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be questionable and will not be recommended to be done in the month and in the days of fasting. Dear brothers and sisters, fasting is a status situation. It is not just a matter of abstaining from food and drinking and mufattirat. It is a status similar to the status of salah. Now, when we say Allahu Akbar in the salah, you're doing what we say takbiratul ihram. And when you go for Hajj or Umrah, we do put what we say al-ihram, which is taking off your clothing, putting the two pieces of white clothing around you. That ihram mean now there is barrier between you and the rest of the activities that you may do. Otherwise, you are allowed to do it. But in that status, you are not supposed to do it because you are performing special rituals and ibadah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mandate on you. And that is therefore, if you are in the ihram, as if you are in the salah. In the salah, you cannot eat or drink or look around or maybe engage in any other conversation. You have to be focusing and praying. The same thing in the status of Ramadan or Siyam. You have to focus on what you are doing. All the time you have to think, oh, I am fasting. And therefore Rasulullah said that if you are a day of your fasting and somebody argue with you, even curse you, and want to fight with you, what do you say? Allahumma inni sa'im, Allahumma inni sa'im, Allahumma inni sa'im. This will give you power and will keep you in a status of ihram of siyam. You are in a status of ibadah, so you don't want to break that by arguing back or by fighting back and by returning the evil with evil. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that fasting is for me and I will be rewarding my servant. In hadith Qudsi, Rasulullah told us, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه, part of the hadith, الصوم لي وأنا أجزي به. Siyam is to Allah, and Allah will reward the servant for it. How much? Unlimited. Something beyond your counting. And that indeed one of the three characteristics or activities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward the person without accountability. The first one is وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. You forgive people. And it is very good emotional and spiritual practice for each and every one of us to harbor in your heart and initiate in your intention the will to forgive whoever that you might think of harm you, hurt you, enemy with you, don't like you for whatever reason. Say, Allah, forgive him and forgive me. And get over it. Fully forget it. Al-afina 'anil nas. And the second one, as-sabirin. إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. And those who are patient on the time of calamity, like the one we have, by staying home, doing little, losing maybe jobs, businesses, etc., or God forbid, losing somebody to this disease and this virus, or for on the other hand, being patient with the ibadat, with serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with fasting, with the salah, with the Quran, with anything good that you are doing. So patience is a big subject. Inshallah, we'll have a chance in the future to talk about. And the third one is as-sa'imun. As-sa'imun is unspecified rewards by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هؤلاء, as Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, that حقهم على الله أن يدخلهم الجنة بغير حساب. You'll get them into Jannah without even accountability. I really hope and pray that we are one of them and all of them. That you forgive people. You are patient for all calamities and hardship and qadr of Allah. And then you are fasting for the love of Allah. الصوم لي وأنا أجزي به. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters, other physical things that we know of, and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about, that we don't see it directly, but Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about it, then we take it and we believe it and we accept it. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال قد جاءكم شهر مبارك. You are about to receive a blessed month. Not a day or two, an hour or two. Month, a whole month. Make use of it. We should be really happy. At this hard time, difficult time, the time of Corona, we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make it so easy and convenient in a way that we have a month to knock the doors on Allah, to perform the ibadat Allah loves. Fasting, reading Quran, Qiyamul Layl, Taraweeh, Dhikr, memorization, Sadaqah, Zakah, Allahu Akbar. There are so many things that we can do. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, جاءكم شهر مبارك افترض الله عليكم صيامه. Allah mandated fasting this month, as we said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم. That's where the Siyam Ramadan comes as a fard. There is other ahadith, of course. بني الإسلام على خمس ومنها صوم شهر رمضان. Islam was established on 5 pillars. One of them is the fasting of the month of Ramadan. However, the hadith here, افترض الله عليكم صيامه. Allah mandated fasting this month on you. تفتح فيه أبواب الجنة. The doors of Jannah will be open. وتغلق أبواب الجحيم. And the hellfire will be closed. وتغل فيه الشياطين. Then the devils will be tied up. Meaning that there will be less incentive when you are fasting to do something bad or evil. Let alone now you are in the, what we call it, stay home policy. Al-Hajr, that you are inside your rooms and your homes. Then there hopefully will be very little, if any, incentive to do anything bad. Then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فيه ليلة خير من ألف شهر. There is a day or a night, ليلة خير من ألف شهر, better than 1,000 months. من حرمها فقد حرم. رواه أحمد والنسائي والبيهقي. That in this blessed month, in addition to that, there is specific physical timing. Again, this is the physical things we are talking about. Timing is very important, dear brothers and sisters. As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed certain time. One of them is month of Ramadan. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. That specification for the blessings and the barakah of the Quran, the words of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specify, of course, certain other times. And this is not our subject, like Friday, like the 3 days of A'yad and the 10 days of the Muharram and many other. So there is a timing. That physical things that we can witness and be there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed places like Al-Masjid Al-Haram, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, Al-Masjid Al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the rest of the masajid in general. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed certain people like the Anbiya and the Salihin and the Shuhada. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include us among them. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed for us the month of Ramadan and one night, special night, Laylatul Qadr, and Allah want us and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to make a special use and get special advantage and take the best possible benefits of that blessed time of the month of Ramadan. So dear brothers and sisters, what else we can do physically? First, to fast with the family. Try to make a schedule where you can have definitely the iftar, inshallah, together. And that's where you learn punctuation. As you know the punctuation and learn it in the month of Ramadan, that's when the iftar comes, nobody will wait. Like Salah, you may delay a little bit. Like Zakah, you may delay like a week or two or a month or two sometimes. But when it comes to fasting, breaking the fasting, everybody wants to break the fasting. Make that to the family together. Don't forget all the dhikr, the ad'iyah, the words, the things that you make as to make dua before you break the fast. Make sure that you prepare your food, inshallah, if you can, at home and make it delicious the way that you like, where you can, inshallah, enjoy. Make salah after that, after you break the fasting on dates and maybe minor things, sambusa or what have you, and then you go and pray Maghrib, finish with that, and then you come back and you eat the way that the sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Make sure that after that you make the Quran that you need to make. The Quran that's any time in the day or in the night or after iftar, your Quran between before Salatul Layl or Qiyamul Layl, Taraweeh. Now, some people might ask, what about Taraweeh? Taraweeh, dear brothers and sisters, is Sunnah Mu'akkada that Rasulullah did it for the first 3 days and then he stopped. خشية أن تفرض عليكم. He was concerned that it will be mandated on you. So he gave a break for the Ummah. And if it was, he continued that, maybe it will become fard. And if it's become fard, some of us may not be able to do it. So it is sunnah to do it after the Isha prayers, inshallah, if you cannot wake up at night and do it at night. Wonderful to do it with the family, of course. Now you are the Imam. Now what we say, let's move from the physical and all of those obligations into the spiritual richness in the month of Ramadan. Now you are responsible for your own timing. You have to determine when to pray Maghrib. Is it before like Isha, after dinner, or right after you break your fasting, you pray Maghrib? And then you come back and to eat the full meal. And then you go and pray Isha. And then hopefully you don't delay too much. You don't say, oh, I want to watch this movie, or I want to watch this show, or there is something going on. No, 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 no. Cut it off. This is not for that. Now is the time for ibadah, for the barakah. And then you do the Isha, say for example 9:30, and then you do the Taraweeh after the Sunnah, and now you are on your own to read your Quran. Check with yourself now. How much do you know how to read the Quran? Let alone nobody else to give you the khatirah. Now you have to think of some aspect of what you are reading or any subject that you want to share with your family. Take the little break after the first 4 rak'ah or so, and then talk to the family, or have one of the family members, maybe your wife, maybe your son, maybe your daughter, and talk about whatever they understood from the first 4 rak'ah of the Quran. Now it is like a rubber meeting the road. You are on your own to keep your deen and your timing and your Quran and your understanding, and let's see how much you can get. I'm sure, inshallah, many people will get a great deal of understanding and spirituality in reading the Quran and praying the Jama'ah. Now, dear brothers and sisters, it's your time to make the dua. Not only the Imam will do it or the Sheikh, and then you say Ameen and that's it. Now it's praying on your own. That means nobody cares what time you came in. And you don't have to go to the masjid to be in the first line. Because whether you are in the first line or the last line, who cares? It is your home and you are responsible. So here, a full meaning of كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته come to be materialized. How much you can give your family in this blessed month? How much of your understanding of the deen really can be transmitted into the next generation? Now, show me your understanding and your, let's say, knowledge that your children can be convinced of what you are saying. And really, hopefully, you and them will become closer to Allah. Let me say one more thing, dear brothers and sisters, just a couple more minutes, and we'll stop. Now is the time to wake up for suhoor. Yes, you may have extra time in the daytime to sleep, but make sure you don't stay all night and then have suhoor and sleep and don't pray Fajr. Fajr is more important than anything else that you may think of that you are doing in the night of that particular particular night. To pray the Fajr in Jama'ah and with your family, with your kids, to wake them up for suhoor is more barakah. As Rasulullah said, تَصَحَّرُوا فَإِنَّ فِي السُّحُورِ barakah. That is physical as well as spiritual. And then let them remember this forever, for the rest of their life, yourself as well. That in the year 2020, we had the crisis of Corona, and we used to pray together, have iftar together, pray Taraweeh together, and wake up for suhoor and look at this wonderful experience. You may sometimes wish to have it back, but without the Corona. Dear brothers and sisters, it's a wonderful time to be at this time, and hopefully, and inshallah, it will be over. One last comment here I would like to make. Make sure, dear brothers and sisters, that you do your zakah and your sadaqah. Your zakah and your sadaqah in the month of Ramadan is like connected with the fasting. As-sawm was sadaqah. I don't want to tell you about the vitamin sad, as we say, like salah, sabr, sadaqah, siyam, and silatul arham. But here, sadaqah is very important. Sadaqatul fitr, from the beginning of the month, you can start giving away. And zakatul mal, if so many people calculate it from Ramadan to Ramadan. And sadaqah, which is extra beyond the call of duty, which is zakatul fitr and zakatul mal, something out of your generosity to help your Islamic center, to help the needy and the poor in the local and overseas and anywhere that you can. Dear brothers and sisters, there is plenty of gifts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showered on us in the month of Ramadan. We have to make use of it, develop it, and really feel it, as we say, realize it in our life, and become meaningful. Those activities and practices meaningful to us. Finally, dear brothers and sisters, the Deen and the Quran and Islam yet develop in us this system that you have Imam, you have Director, you have Sheikh, you have Alim. But each and every one of us is responsible equally. And equally will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكُلُّكُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. That every one of you will come alone to see how much he or she done in their life for the love of Allah. So anything you do in the month of Ramadan, do it for the love of Allah. And inshallah, Allah will accept it and bless it. Don't forget, there is so much more you can learn, inshallah, from your local scholars, the brother Hamdi and the rest of the people that you may meet in the month of Ramadan. This is just a glimpse of the important physical and spiritual things that we really need to focus on and shift our mind from the talk about COVID-19, coronavirus, and its negativities and so forth, and be happy and be really forthcoming that we are coming to a month of barakah, and maybe inshallah by the time you get there, all this crisis will be over. And I really hope and pray to Allah, maybe in the last 10 days of Ramadan, we can go back to the masajid and pray Salatul Eid. Who knows? Maybe. I pray for that. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you all. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the enjoyment and the fulfillment in the month of Ramadan to really live it in a unique way. And never forget that everything Allah blessed us with is really blessing. We should not take it for granted. You know the hadith that نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ, health and having time. Now inshallah you have your health and inshallah you have your time. Show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the good sides of you, the strong iman of Allah, develop that and be persistent. Not a day or two or week or two, the whole month, to do the routines that we mentioned. Read the Quran once, maybe twice. Do the sadaqah and the ihsan. And Allah yuhibbul muhsineen. Allah will reward the sa'imin. And inshallah the sabirin and mutasaddiqeen. May Allah include us among them. May Allah reward you all. اللهم بلغنا رمضان وأعنا فيه على الصيام والقيام وقراءة القرآن واحفظنا وأهلنا وإخواننا والسامعين والحاضرين من كل شر يا رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم واغفر لنا يا مولانا إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. جزاكم الله خيرا for listening. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm open for any question or discussion, brothers and sisters.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Imam, we have one question. Jawad, you have a question, inshallah. Please ask.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair for this beautiful khatira.
وإياكم. Thank you, brother.
This question, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how many years he prayed Taraweeh, and in those years did he also skip Taraweeh a few days without praying? Could you just enlighten us on more in details?
All what we know about the Taraweeh is really the 3 days Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed. And of course, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as the Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha reported, that he will pray until his feet will be swollen. And she will check him and she will find him making sujood. So he will do Qiyamul Layl. And Taraweeh is really part of Qiyamul Layl. But when he prayed that at the month of Ramadan, first night, second night, third night, he noticed that the people gathered and they come in. And of course, everybody wants to pray with Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Imam. And he, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, out of his mercy and kindness and care about us, he said he did not show up in the 4th day. He said, how come ya Rasulullah? قال خشية أن تفرض عليكم. That I was concerned that will become mandatory. So he prayed, what's reported is 3 days in Jama'ah as such, in the masjid. Then the rest of the time of the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Ramadan, that Ramadans he lived, he will pray on his own, and most likely probably before Fajr in the last third of the night. And the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, the Jama'ah for Taraweeh was not established until the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, when he came into the masjid at one time and he found a group of people praying here, other group of people praying there, and then he said, why this, like you are يشوش بعضهم على بعض. That's mean you are reading, he's reading, and then there will be like noises and no focus. فجمعهم على إمام. Then he gathered them, and when they stand up in line and all of them behind one Imam, he said, نعم البدعة هذه. This is a very nice practice. And of course, it was not bid'ah, the prohibited bid'ah, the innovation in the deen. It was reviving of the sunnah of getting together بعد أن أمين الوحي أن لا يفرضها عليهم. After that, there is no wahi after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make it mandatory. Then it is an optional, which means sunnah, alhamdulillah, great to do it, gathering or without gathering, alone or with the jama'ah, but it is not a fard. And that is a short history of the development. And since then until now, again, people disagree between whether it's 8 or 20, but do as much as you want. There is no haraj, I would say. That is my understanding. Yes, 8 Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Aisha radiallahu anha reported that ما زاد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في رمضان ولا في غيره على 11 ركعة. That Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam have not prayed more than 11 rak'ah, but that also they said that that's what Sayyidah Aisha said, or probably knows, but he maybe prayed more and she did not know. So when the report said that Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu make it 20 rak'ah, nobody object, if that's authentic and genuine and strong hadith, but it is after all a sunnah, and it should not be a source of division and differences between the people. Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions, inshallah? Any other questions? Please raise your hand if you have a question, inshallah.
MashaAllah, our manager can probably see who's raising their hand and what they are doing. I can't see anybody.
Yeah. Sheikh, there's a question. What about the recitation and completion of Quran and Taraweeh?
There is nothing reported that we have to complete the recitation of the Quran in the Taraweeh itself. Say you want to pray 8 rak'ah, 1 page each rak'ah, and that's what the family can take, that's fine, alhamdulillah. Then you sit down and read the Quran if you want together. Or you can read in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, anytime. And of course, if you read it once, that's minimum once a month. And if you read it in 2 months, that's great, that's fine, acceptable. If you read it in 3 months, it will be fine also, the whole Quran. But if you read it more, then you will be of the ghafilin, of those who are neglecting the Quran. Of those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described, وقال القرآن يا ربي إن قوم اتخذوا وقال الرسول يا ربي إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. Mahjura is like if to finish the Quran in less than in more than 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Now I'd say, okay, you finish as much as you can in any period of time. But if you are diligent, you want really to make, as we said, maximize the benefit of the month of Ramadan, then do it in a month, at least in a month. You do twice, that's even better, especially nowadays and with these circumstances that we are having. So it is not mandatory to finish it in the Taraweeh. It is highly recommended to finish it in the month of Ramadan at least once. You can do more if you want. And the purpose is not only to read, but also to understand and to reflect on the Quran.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Any other questions, inshallah? You can raise your hand. You can type it in the chat box.
I have a question.
Let's go ahead.
So, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never finished the Quran in Taraweeh with the Sahaba. He never did that, or finished the whole Quran, or somebody made this after the Prophet, or how did that start?
For sure, it's not that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam finished the Quran with the Sahaba in Taraweeh. That's right. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not finish the Quran with the Sahaba in Taraweeh. There is no report as such. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed 3 days, and we don't know how many surahs he prayed and how long it was. Definitely, the prayers of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam of the Sunnah, most of the time he takes time and he recites long. The finishing of the Quran really is a tradition that Muslims get used to it. It's more than the practice of the Sahaba in the month of Ramadan. I don't know personally that Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu mandate or ask the Imams at that time to finish the Quran, all the Quran in the prayers of the Taraweeh. They could have finished it maybe once, maybe twice, or maybe not. So the point is there is no authentic report to say that you have to finish the Quran in the Taraweeh prayers, whether you pray 8 or you pray 20 every night. However, again, traditionally, people are expecting that, okay, well, I cannot finish the Quran on my own. I am lazy person. I am working person. I want to go to the masjid and keep going. So hopefully they will start from A to Z. At least I will get the barakah of finishing the Quran. So what we say, it's become a tradition. It become a practice of the Muslims. So Brother Jaweed, there is nothing like in the Sunnah authentically I know of. If I'm not claiming knowledge of everything, but to say that we have to finish the Quran standing in the prayers of Taraweeh. Now, if really, as you know, maybe some masajid will do that, will recite half of the juzu in the Taraweeh and the other half either before or after Taraweeh, which is another good practice. So everybody can participate in the Taraweeh prayers. I'm not saying that this is not good tradition, though, to finish the Quran. It is good tradition, a good practice, but this is our practice and our tradition. It is not the Sunnah of Rasulullah or the Sahaba to do it. Any other question or comments?
We have another question. By the way, 5 more minutes, inshallah. So if you have a question, you can ask, inshallah.
Sure.
We have one more question. Paying zakat is obligatory. Does it make a difference when paying in Ramadan as far as reward?
We have to distinguish between zakatul fitr and zakatul mal. Zakatul fitr, it has to be in the month of Ramadan. People say that toward the end of the month, that's you are assuring that you are fasted. But inshallah, even any time in the month of Ramadan will be okay. The first day you fast, the second day when I give zakatul fitr, that's fine. The amount of zakatul fitr is always, let's say, disputed. Some people will say $10, some people $15. I will go with the $15, especially nowadays, to help more people, inshallah. Zakatul mal, you don't have to do it in the month of Ramadan. If you have a certain, let's say, accounting system, then you do it annually when it's due. So if you have, let's say, this money, you're holding this money for the whole year, and بلغت النصاب, reach the minimum required zakatable amount, and you have it for the whole year, then you have to give zakat. When you determine that, there is no specific timing. So if somebody wants to do it every on September or December or in June, I suggested, as many people will do it, they do it in Ramadan because it is securing at least a year around, and then they will do it in Ramadan just for the barakah and for helping more people. That's acceptable too. Now, if you want to do that, you can do it anytime in the month of Ramadan, any day, if you want to do it in Ramadan this way. Otherwise, you don't have to do it in the month.
Well,
Yes.
wallah.
Okay. One more.
Yeah, just to say, it's a lunar year. It's not a is it-
Lunar year. Lunar year. Yeah, that's why they keep it in the month of Ramadan. It is easier to remember and to calculate, and hopefully, as we said, for the barakah, doing more deed in the good timing, the time of Ramadan, as we said in the beginning, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. There's more chances of barakah and more chances of benefiting people in that month, inshallah.
Are there any questions? Okay, we have one, inshallah.
Go ahead, no problem.
If you are a student of the Quran, is it better to recite whatever parts you perfected reciting with tajweed rather than reading the whole Quran in the month of Ramadan?
Now, if you are learning, then recite what you know. If you are reading like by heart, if you are memorizing. If you are not memorizing and you want to read more, then read from the book and take your time, that's fine. Learning and reading in Salah or on your own, it is highly rewarded. If you are learning again, you may have mistakes or you invite people to correct you and so on, then don't do it while you are the imam. If you are on your own, then I would recommend that if you don't master the surahs that you read it from the book. Read from the book and read it properly. That is the purpose. And again, if you think that you really don't have to read the whole Quran, then read as much as you can and read the rest of it if you want to in your own while you are sitting instead of standing, while you are on your own instead of like if you are an imam, comparing to if you are an imam. If I understand the question. So you better read it properly. Tajweed is a second level. Reading properly, that's mean don't make the fatha dhamma and dhamma kasra, and you don't read different words, and especially words that might turn the meanings around. So you have to be careful with that. Tajweed and tahseen and going with melody, and that is all extra into the recitation. That's not necessarily required unless you are like assigned to be an imam and people bring you or people like assign you, then that's another level. But nowadays we are talking about praying on your own, pray properly, correctly. That's the main things.
There's one last question. If you can just give a quick answer, inshallah, before we close.
No problem.
So the sister asked, now because of Corona, people are paying all over the world before Ramadan. Is it okay in terms of reward, or will we get more reward when we pay during Ramadan?
Pay your zakah, you mean?
I believe that's what she's referring to, but Sister Almas, do you mind clarifying your question?
I think she said yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
of course. I highly recommend that. Now, in the fiqh, we have that rulings in the jurisprudence. We have that ruling that you can even pay zakah in advance. Say, I have enough wealth, and I know that, inshallah, I'll be in business. I can pay for this year, the year that passed, which is, say, from last Ramadan to this Ramadan. And if I want, I can pay even for the next year, zakatul mal. So the zakatul mal, there is no specific timing to pay it. you can consider it from the time you pay it if you own it for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year. So you have it, the main thing is to have it for a year. Now, if you want to Zakat al-Fitr, we have no issue with that. I think you have to pay it, we understand, whether for first day or the last day before Eid. But Zakat al-Mal, it's highly encouraged that to pay it, especially at the time of crisis and time of need. Even if, let's say, 6 months, I still have 6 months to go until the next year. It's okay, you can pay it now, and by the 6 months, it will be counted. Now, why we are talking about this, like in terms of timing? In the past, it used to be like the Department of Zakah. They will give you a certificate that he paid his Zakah for this year. Nowadays, of course, nobody, taking that, nobody following up with that. It's you on your own paying your Zakah. So if you owe, for example, $1,000 in Zakah this year and you pay it, and you find there is a need, say, okay, I want to pay like $500 extra or 1,000 more for Zakah, inshallah, if Allah give me life for next year. You can do that, and inshallah, that will be even more rewards to alleviate the suffering or the need of certain Muslim.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Appreciate it. Alhamdulillah, it was very insightful discussion.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Brother Jawda, Amu Jawda, do you have any last announcements before I hand it off to Sheikh Hamdi?
No, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Billah.
Thank you very much.
Sheikh Hamdi, do you mind closing us off with dua, inshallah?
الله يكرمك يا أخي ويبارك فيكم.
May Allah make Ramadan, inshallah, one of the official Ramadan, inshallah, bismillah. The families will be, inshallah, active in that.
اللهم آمين يا رب.
All of it in this month of Ramadan, all of them together. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, wallahi we don't Allah tabarak wa ta'ala.
Sheikh Hamdi, we can't hear you if you can speak into the microphone.
May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala help all of us, inshallah, to be back to the masajid and the gathering, the unity. Inshallah, it's not, there's nothing impossible in the hand of Allah. Everything can be possible, inshallah, bi'ithnillah. Jazakumullah kulli khair. Inshallah, we'll do, maybe we can take short dua from Brother Mahmoud Harmoush today. He can do dua for us, and Muhammad Zuhdi after, he can raise adhan al-isha. So inshallah, we can keep this listening to the adhan, inshallah. So, Akh Mahmoud Harmoush, inshallah, dua, inshallah.
بارك الله فيك. Thank you so much. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد خاتم الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه ليوم الدين. اللهم افتح بخير واختم بخير واجعل عاقبة أمورنا إلى خير. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم عافنا وشافنا وعاف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم احفظنا وأهلنا وأولادنا ما تحفظ به عبادك الصالحين. وفقنا وإياهم لما تحبه وترضاه من الخير يا رب العالمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم سهل أمورنا واشرح صدورنا ووفقنا وإخواننا والسامعين والحاضرين وجميع المسلمين لما تحبه وترضاه من الخير يا رب العالمين. اللهم اكشف وارفع عنا البلاء إنا مؤمنون. اللهم اكشف وارفع عنا البلاء إنا مؤمنون. اللهم احفظنا بما تحفظ به عبادك الصالحين. تقبل منا يا رب العالمين. بلغنا شهر رمضان وأعنا فيه على الصيام والقيام وقراءة القرآن. وتقبل منا صدقاتنا وصيامنا وصلاتنا. واغفر لنا ولإخواننا ولأمواتنا وأموات المسلمين أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم اجزي إخواننا جميعا خير الجزاء على ما قدموه وحضروه وأعانوا فيه وعلى ما ساهموا فيه جميعا. أخونا حمدي وإخواننا الآخرين. I'm sorry for not knowing the names, but Brother Bilal, Brother Osama, and all the brothers and sisters who are taking care of the Islamic centers. Those are really our frontline fighters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all the brothers and sisters and grant them health and safety and grant them, inshallah, rewards for being patient and accept our prayers and our dua. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بارك الله فيك.
جزاك الله كل خير. Inshallah, just a reminder, by the end of tomorrow, inshallah, Thursday, we have Siyam, we have intention to fast Thursday, inshallah. So, inshallah, at 6:30 tomorrow, 6:30, inshallah, the tafsir, till 7:10. Then from 7:10 to 7:25, that's Adhkar al-Masa by Sheikh Uthman. Then, inshallah, later on, inshallah, 8:45 after iftar, question and answer. But Halaqat al-Quran every day at 6. Tomorrow will be 5:45. Inshallah, the halaqa to recite one juz every day as usual. Inshallah, tomorrow will be 5:45. Inshallah, bismillah. Jazakumullah kulli khair. Adhan now is from Muhammad Zuhdi. Then inshallah, close ya Bilal after adhan, inshallah. Jazakallah kulli khair.
السلام